I've had students fall asleep in class.
You fell asleep in class?
No, where I've had students fall asleep in class before. It's not because of me. All right. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this afternoon's class of rehabilitative strengthening and endurance exercises. So for today, we are going to exercise your brains as well as your bodies. So for the second half of today, if you have some paper and some pencil, and in particular today we're going to try and use some colors. So if you don't have any colors, it's fine if you just have a pen or a pencil. You can just do it in one color. I just wanted to try and do some extra challenge with our activity today. All right. Okay. All right, so for the quote for today, it is, "Look at a day when you are supremely satisfied at the end. It's not a day when you lounge around doing nothing. It's a day you've had everything to do and you've done it." And that's by Margaret Thatcher, right? So, I know it's kind of a long one today. So, look at a day you are supremely satisfied at the end. It's not a day when you lounge around doing nothing. It's a day you've had everything to do and you've done it. All right, so Carol, this is what I was talking about earlier, right? Right, so it's really that sense of accomplishment, right? You're gonna get that accomplishment when you tackled something, right? But you are not gonna be satisfied with your day if you haven't tackled something. Right? It's going to be a day, and it's not like it's going to be disappointing or, you're going to be frustrated. But those days where you're really satisfied and you feel good about your day, it's because you've accomplished something. And that accomplishment comes from, in this case for the quote, right, when you've had so much to do and you've done it. But that's just one way, right? Another piece I know that you guys do every day and all the time, right, is you have work to do, right? You have physical work you do. You have brain work, right, that you have to do. And so if you have done that, you're going to be satisfied, right? And you're going to feel better about your day than as if you just sat around and did nothing, right? So my chosen quote, just to bring attention to that and just say, anything you do that is accomplishing something and it is pushing yourself in a challenge, all right, it's worth it. All right, it's worth it, and be proud of it. All right, be proud of that effort, be proud of that work that you did, and coming through a challenge. And maybe you wanted to, all right, but at least you'll have that sense of accomplishment of you got to the end, all right. At least you finished it out. All right, let's go ahead and get started on our exercises. Remember that these are always recommendations, right? Options and suggestions. And always to pay attention to your pain, and pay attention to what your body is able to do. And, right, just challenge yourself. And there's always modifications and changes that you can make to all the exercises we do. All right. Feet flat on the ground, make sure that your weight is supported. I usually sit a little bit on the edge of the chair, just so I have a little bit more movement with my upper body. I always have to remind myself to keep that upright posture, because I like to slouch. So it's always good for me in this class to really remember, hey, sit up straight. Okay. All right, so we'll take a few deep breaths before we start. So breathe in. And out, and in, and out, in, and out. All right. All right, we always start with our head and our neck. So our first exercise is neck flexion and extension. So up to the ceiling and down to the floor. All right. Okay, so if this exercise is more of a stretch and not necessarily a strengthening, right, that's fine. get our muscles moving. And we want to get as much movement out of our muscles as we can. I don't think I've talked about it before, but I often talk about how you can pretend that you're pushing against something to have your muscles work a little harder, and it's no different for your neck. It's just a little harder to picture, right? In this case, you know, as you're bringing your chin down towards your chest, right, you can kind of picture, right, something's pushing up on your head, and you're pushing against that. Right, and then the same thing, as you're lifting your head up towards the ceiling, then you can kind of picture someone's trying to push on your head from behind and try and push your head down, but you want to put your head up. Right? So it's really just imagining pressure, right, in the opposite direction you're moving, if you really want to challenge your muscles without adding any extra weight. Right? It's a little harder to imagine for our neck. Okay? Just a couple more. Okay, all right, now our neck. So right ear to right shoulder, left ear to left shoulder. If you want to add, you can actually slightly push on your head in the opposite direction you're going if you really want to. If you really want to have a little extra work on your neck muscles. But usually, right, our neck has a heavy job of keeping our head up all the time. So our necks get a pretty good workout just every day, holding our head up and not letting it fall down to our chest. And just as we're standing and doing everything every day. Okay. Next, we'll go ahead and do our shoulder rolls. Right. So, I usually do both together. Right, but it's alright if you just want to do one at a time, or if you're just able to do one. Right. And I suggest on your other side, if you put your hand underneath the elbow of the side you support, you can help kind of push, right, that shoulder into a little bit more movement. Right. So if I just hold down here with my hands, I can't get very much at my shoulders. I can get some. But Steve, if you try and reach across under your elbows, and then you can kind of push up. Yeah. See how you've got a little more in your shoulders that way? Yeah. And I noticed that you already did it this morning during morning stretches. So I think you already see that that could be a little helpful to get that movement.
Helps a lot.
So, yeah. And I know it's not quite full movement, but it helps get a little more, right? Yeah. And then don't forget circles in the other direction. Okay, so try and move your shoulders. Let's see. I think I was rolling forward. I got talking and got distracted. So whatever way you were going, go the other way. Maybe that's the way I was going already. I don't know. So, and of course, Steve, like what you can handle, right? Because now, obviously, you're doing a little more work with your other arm. But, how does it feel, Louis?
Feel like you feel it. It helps a lot.
Good.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Carol? Good? Okay. All right. What's next? you want to go just before it becomes painful, but you don't want to give yourself any pain. Right. So just listen to what your body's telling you. Right. And as far as you want to go up, right, if you want to imagine that you are trying to lift something up to the ceiling and pushing against it, and then pushing it down on the ground as you bring your arms down. And even if you're only able to bring your arms here, right, that's fine. Okay, but you can still give yourself kind of that extra effort and that extra challenge if you pretend like you're pushing on something as you move up and pushing on something as you move down. Is that a good stretch? Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and move into our elbows. Right, so basically just a bicep curl. Right, again, you can clasp your hands. Right. If the movement is enough, right, just to lift it to your chest and then down to your lap, that's fine. Right. If you want to give yourself that extra push, then you can pretend like you are squishing something up to your chest and then pushing it down onto your knees. Right. So you can just alternate between pushing it on your knees and then pushing it up to your chest. Yeah, I can see the extra effort you're putting in, Carol. I can tell that you're not just doing the movement. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the wrists. You can still, especially if you're holding them together, you can kind of pull against yourself, right?
Yes.
When you go in both directions. Right. If you're just doing this though, so Carol, if you just want to do this, you can still push against yourself. Right. You can just pretend like you've got something back here that you're pushing against, and when you put your hands down, you can pretend like you're squishing it here. Right? Just so you're giving that extra push to your muscles. Right. Direction that you're pushing, that you've got something there. Alright, let's move on to our fingers. Right, so make a fist. Send them out. And you may be able to like open your fingers onto your leg and then, right, just give it a little pressure pushing down. Okay, that's another option too. Right. Great. And if you have a table, you know, it's probably easy around your leg, but if you have a table, you could use a table too. Okay. All right. I think I got carried away with the upper body. All right, let's go ahead and start our lower body. Otherwise, I won't get to the other facets to do. All right. I'm going to lift our right leg. All right, and we're going to make our circle. If you can, move your ankle in a circle too. And if not, you can still at least visualize the motion. Alright, so an easier would be to bend at the knee and make your circle. Alright, harder is to make a bigger circle and go slow. Alright, so whatever part is going to challenge you for your strength and your endurance today. Okay. I have to think about it because I speed up at the bottom. I go whoosh, then I find at the top. Okay. Alright, so I try to be pretty careful of having the same speed throughout the entire circle. Alright, go ahead and give that a second. Put that down. We have to do the same leg, but the opposite circle. Alright, so whatever direction your circle was that time, now you'll do your circle in the other direction. Alright, so when you're ready, go ahead and make that leg circle in the other direction. And if you can, try to also do your ankle. And also move it in that same direction. Your right leg down. Alright, now we're going to do the same thing with our left leg. So when you're ready, go and lift up your left leg and start your circle. Alright, and then try to just be aware of having the same speed through the whole circle. Alright, so if you go quickly, that's fine. But try to make sure it's the same speed throughout the entire circle. Okay, go ahead and give that leg a second. We still have to finish with that leg circle, but in the other direction. Great. So if you need a little bit longer on that, just that's fine. Alright, but if you're ready, go ahead and lift that leg, your left leg, and now go in your circle in the other direction. Okay, go ahead and give that a break. Right, next we have seated marches. Again, right, if you need to get your drink of water, take some deep breaths. You don't always have to wait for me, because I know that I don't always remember to do them regularly. Yep, I'm going to go ahead and take deep breaths now though, because I've already stopped. But yes, you're right, we're doing marches next. Alright, let's take a couple deep breaths, breathe in. And out, and in, and out. Alright. If you need a longer break, that's fine. Okay? Alright, so next we just have our marches. Right? So you're just going to lift your knees as high as you can. And try to remember to keep your upright posture. You have to lean back a little when we're lifting our leg, but try at least keep your straight back. Right? As you lift. And just do your marches. circle. Alright, you want to make the biggest circle you can. If you need to start out making a smaller circle first, and then making that circle bigger as you go, right, that's fine as long as you get to the biggest circle you can, and are following it with your eyes. Go ahead and get that to center and give your eyes a break. Close your eyes and relax your hand. Alright, we need to do that again, only this time we need to make a circle in the other direction. If your eyes need a longer break, you can take a longer break if you need. But if you're ready, go ahead and put up your thumb, open your eyes. Alright, and make that circle in the other direction. Alright, go ahead and put that in the center. Go ahead and give your eyes a break. Close your eyes and bring your hand down. Alright, our next eye exercise is to hold our thumb in front of us in the center. And we're going to keep our eyes on our thumb as we move our head side to side. And just follow our thumb with our eyes. Sorry. We're going to keep our eyes on our thumb as we move our head. Sorry, wrong way. Okay. When you're ready, go ahead and put your thumb up. Alright, and now move your head side to side while still keeping your eyes on your thumb. Go ahead and close your eyes and give your hand a break. Alright, just one more eye exercise. So pretty much the same thing. We're going to hold our thumb up and look at our thumb, but this time we're going to move our head up and down as we look at our thumb. Alright, so when you're ready, go ahead and put your thumb up and open your eyes. And move your head up and down while still keeping your eyes looking at your thumb. Go ahead and close your eyes and let your hand relax. Give your eyes a break. Alright, next we're going to move on to our mouth exercises. I'm going to take a quick break, get a drink. Alright, so before we start our mouth exercises, we usually go ahead and massage our cheek and our jaw. Alright, first mouth exercise is to open as wide as we can. Okay. Alright, so at some point in that movement, if you want to hold it, alright, so not necessarily at the biggest we have our mouth or the smallest, but at some point in that movement, if you just try to hold it, right, that's going to challenge those muscles and make us really be aware of that movement and try and control it rather than just doing it quickly, right? So at some point you just hold. right? It's just, we're trying to make sure we have control over those muscles, right? And really exercising those muscles rather than just moving them through the motion. So I was just asking if you can hold it in one point of the motion. It's also making our brain work, right? And being very conscious of that, right? And thinking about those muscles as they're moving, rather than just, here's the end result, and I'm gonna get to that end result, and really forcing it through those middle parts of that movement for the other muscles that are involved, okay? Let's go ahead and move on to smile real big. So same thing, if you can try and somewhere in between not smiling and full smiling, right? At some point, just try and just that feeling, right? And keeping that tension in the muscle is what's going to help strengthen and help with that endurance. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our tongue exercises. So corner to mouth to corner of the mouth. Now our tongue up to our nose and then down to our chin. All right. Okay. All right, our last mouth exercise is to frown and then swallow. That feels pretty good for our mouth exercises. All right, so now it's time to work our brains and give our brains some exercise. Maybe a drink before that. That was a lot of swallowing. Okay. All right, so to work our brains, we're pretty much going to follow the same exercises as yesterday, only I'm going to describe a different setup than Alex did yesterday. And honestly, I think it's just as challenging for me to describe it as it will be for you to follow it, right? So what we're exercising for this, with our brains, is our auditory memory, right? Taking in information as we hear it, and remembering that information, as well as sorting through, right? Sorting through that information. It's also spatial, right? So making sure that we are positioning things on the paper, right? In this case, you guys have whiteboards with me, but you guys at home, you guys should have paper or something else to write on. So it's working on your spatial, and then it's also working on attention, right? If we're not paying attention, then we're going to miss some details in some cases. I may not repeat it, I may only do it once, as well as our sequencing and then prioritizing our information. All right, so warm up, maybe we'll just do a couple. Those probably are too easy for you guys. All right. All right, so just a warning, right? This is pretty challenging, and definitely for you guys at home, if you ever want to do this activity where you just do it with somebody else, it's a good challenge to be the one that's describing, as much as it is the challenge to do the writing, right? So that's what I'm saying, like this is exercise for me too, for my brain, as much as it is for you, and so perhaps you can try it with somebody at home, and you can just have whatever is in your mind that you want to describe to somebody else. So just a suggestion is something that you can do at home, or you guys can go home and do later when you're not here with us. So, okay. All right. So, first, all right, we'll try this one. First, you're going to draw a circle in the top right corner. Right. Next to the circle, to the left of the circle, you're going to draw a large square. A large square. Right. Next to the large square, to the left, you are going to draw a long rectangle with the long sides facing to the left and right. No, pointing. Let me say it that way. Sorry. Told you it was a challenge. Right, yes, you're going to draw a long rectangle with the long sides pointing towards the left and right.
Horizontal.
Yes, that's a much better way of saying it. Thank you, Steve. I'm glad you're here.
Pointed to the left.
Yes, or horizontal, as Steve said, which is probably a better word. Okay. You're going to draw a long rectangle, or a rectangle with the long sides being horizontal.
As opposed to vertical.
As opposed to vertical.
Rectangle or triangle?
A rectangle.
Okay.
Okay. Now in the top left, I'll come back to it. Let me finish the shapes. In the top left corner, you're going to put a pentagon with the tip facing towards the top. Oh, this is so tricky. All right. Now, underneath all of those shapes, draw a large right triangle with the longest side on the top. In math terms, it would be the hypotenuse.
At the bottom?
So under all those shapes, you are going to draw a extra triangle with the long side underneath the shapes. Actually, I said a long right triangle. So as people are finishing, so Carol, rectangles they are not even sides, right? Two sides of a rectangle have to be sides, right? Okay, so that's what I mean when I said that the longer sides of the rectangle are horizontal. You just skipped the rectangle. All right, this is what we were going for. Okay. All right, so this is why it's brain work. This is why we're exercising our brain. It might be that we weren't familiar with a right triangle. I wasn't sure. That's specific knowledge of triangles. Right, I put a bit but I was trying to say the long side of the triangle, right, was underneath, which, right, that's kind of hard to determine. So there isn't really a right or a wrong, right, because there is, unless I was so specific, pentagon might have been hard if you didn't know that pentagon means 5, right? It has 5 sides. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't have chosen that one. It was a little too challenging. It's much easier if we stick to simple shapes, right? Yeah. Okay. All right, let's do another one like this before we try a picture. All right, let me choose a different one. Okay, I'm going to do this one. Okay. I realize I have to change my directions too. So on your paper, instead of having your paper be vertical, make yours horizontal with the side horizontal. All right. So hold your board so that the long side is horizontal. Okay. All right. I'm going to have you orient your board first. Okay. Excuse me. Let's try this again. Now, on the bottom right, you're going to draw a large rectangle where the long sides are horizontal. I'll repeat it, Carol. On the bottom right, a large rectangle with the long sides horizontal. Okay. Above the rectangle, oh, hold on, I'll give Lewis. I'll give you a minute. Do you need a minute?
Yeah. Boy, it kept moving. That's good.
Okay, okay. All right, so above the large rectangle, you are going to draw a large circle. Above. All right, I'm going to give you another tricky direction. Okay, so on the top, but off center to the left, you're going to draw a large star. On the top, but off center, just to the left, you're going to draw a large star.
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 Okay.
Okay. All right, we have one more shape in this one. Okay. Are you ready, Carol? Okay. All right, so in the bottom left, you're are going to draw a semicircle with the flat side towards the left. Or I can say a half circle. I can say it that way. On the bottom left, you're going to draw a half circle with the flat side pointing left.
Capital D.
Okay, are you ready, Carol? Okay. All right, that's all we have on this one. So something similar. Yes, I could have said a D, but part of this is, right? Okay. Okay. All right. All right, next we're going to move on to making a drawing. I was going to have us use colors. Actually, you guys can choose. Would you guys rather use the whiteboards, or do you want to do it with colored markers on paper? Is this easier? Do you guys like this better, or do you want to use paper and markers with colors? This is better? Okay. Okay. All right. I just have the option in case, right? Using colors is adds a little bit of complexity. All right. All right. Here's my mystery picture. Okay. This time, I want your board so that the long side. All right. I'm actually cheating because I just showed you. That's technically part of the directions, but. All right, so this time you want your board so that the long sides are vertical. Okay. Hard for you to line up your picture. All right, so.
You want a long side, up and down?
The long sides are up and down.
Okay.
Okay. All right, here we go. You are going to draw a small square. No, just kidding. Sorry. Let me start over before we put anything on our boards. Okay, not a small one. But do pay attention when I tell you size, because it'll make a difference for what we're drawing. Hopefully it's going to look like something to you. Okay. All right, so draw a medium square. Not in the exact center, but a little bit above the center in the middle. So not in the very center of your board, you want to go about 2 inches above the center of the board and draw a medium square. Okay. All right. Under the square, you are going to draw a circle so that the edge of the circle is touching the bottom of the square, right? And you want to make a small circle. A small circle underneath the square so that the edge of the circle is touching the bottom of the square. Right. You are going to make 5 more circles the same size underneath that circle. So you're going to make a row of circles, but you want 5 more circles. 5 more the same size so that the edge is touching the circle above it. What do you think we're drawing so far? An ant with a hat on. Or like a party hat, right? Like a top hat.
DNA chain.
A what chain?
DNA chain.
A DNA chain. All right, what do you think, Carol? No idea? Okay, all right. Hopefully the next one is going to give you a clue. Okay, this one is really tricky. All right, an oval has pointed ends, right? Well, not like a point, not like a sharp point, but like ovals have 2 points on the ends instead of being perfectly round, right? Okay, so you're going to draw an oval with the point. Let me back up. You're going to draw an extra large oval so that it reaches the edge of your board from the third circle down, so that the edge of the oval is touching the third circle. I know, that was a lot, wasn't it? Okay. So you're going to make a large oval that touches the edge of your board with the point touching the third circle down from the square. Oh, you know what? I didn't say the right side or the left side. So, if you drew it on the right side, then on the left side, do the same thing. Okay. Now, underneath that, on the fourth circle down from the square, you're going to draw another oval with the touching the circle and the other side of the oval touching the edge of the paper. You can do it on the left or the right, because then we're just going to do it to the other side again. You're going to draw a large oval from the fourth circle down from the square, where the tip, the corner, or not the corner, I guess I'll say the tip, right? The tip of the oval touches the fourth circle and also touches the edge of the board. I'm sorry, not the circle, an oval. Like, of course it's hard to follow directions when I can't say the word right. I'm sorry, Lewis.
Butterfly.
Edge of the board.
Yes, you want your oval to touch the edge of the fourth circle down from the square and the edge of the board. All right, yeah. Now what do you think we're drawing?
Dragonfly.
The dragonfly? What do you think, Carol?
Butterfly, dragonfly,
Dragonfly?
the insect.
All right, then we're doing great. Okay. All right, well, we have a couple more directions to finish it. Although now at this point, you're kind of like, you can just imagine what it's supposed to look like. Now that we have a picture in our heads about what we want it to look like. Okay, off of the top of the square, you are going to draw a curved line towards the right. From the top of the square, on the top right, touching the top right of the square, you're going to do a curved line that goes up and curves to the right. You got this. You got this, Carol. Yeah, you're going to do a line that goes up. Just a line that goes up from the square and curves to the right. Okay, and at the end of that line, you're going to draw a tiny circle. Okay? All right. I mean, I guess maybe he got injured in a, like, you know, maybe a bird tried to bite him. But let's finish.
I think that's a him.
Oh, okay. cake sheet. It got in a fight. It could have lost an antenna, but no, let's go ahead and finish. All right, on the top of the circle, on the top of the square, on the top of the square, on the top left, you're going to draw a line that goes up and to the left. So first your line goes up, and then draw a tiny circle at the end of that. All right. We're almost done. Okay. All right, now in the large ovals, in the part of the oval that touches the board, you're going to draw a medium circle inside the oval. Okay, in the large oval, doesn't matter which one. We're really going to do it to all of them. Okay, in the large oval, on the side that touches the edge of the board, inside the oval, you're going to draw a medium circle. All right, and then go ahead and do that to all of the large ovals.
So circling all the ovals?
Yep. At the edge that touches the edge of, the part of the oval that touches the edge of the board. You should have 4. Without checking with you, Carol. That's my fault. All right. So hopefully you drew a butterfly. Let's see them. That's great, Carol. All right. Let's see. All right. So, I just want to have like a quick discussion. What was challenging for you? So, can you go to first one?
The rectangle, the shapes on the first one, but for this one, I would say the oval. How many ovals?
Okay. Yeah, definitely. And for me, right, the hard part for me to describe is how to point the oval, right? Because I didn't want you putting your oval this way. I wanted your oval to point this way, right?
Yeah.
So that was hard for me to describe. Okay. Which does make it a little bit harder for you, but that's why I said kind of the points. I know, like I said, I know ovals don't have a point, but they kind of...
Football shape.
Yes. I mean, I guess I could have described it as, well, I don't know, they're not quite footballs. Anyway. Right? Then you could get into all the little details of, like, exactly how you perceive those. What was difficult for you? What was challenging?
I wasn't doing a very good job following the directions. Was getting confused for some reason.
Okay. Is it harder because I could only give you directions and you had to just listen?
Yeah.
Instead of being able to read them? Yeah, that's a big difference. And I have to say that is a personal challenge for me too. I do much better if I can read and see. Yeah, no, that's great.
Mosquito.
No, I mean, it's supposed to be a butterfly. So,
Pretty good.
it's a personal challenge for me too, Carol, that it's hard to listen to information and keep track. of everything you're hearing, right? And especially, I mean, thankfully here we don't have a lot of distractions, so that's why I said part of this exercise is attention, right? It's super easy to get distracted by something, and as soon as you do that, you've missed some of what I've said, right? So that's part, right? That's part of the brain exercise is how do we pay attention? Okay. Was there anything that was challenging for you, Steve?
Only just the antenna. I got the antenna in the wrong direction. But I had it right the first time, then I second guessed myself.
Yeah. And why do you think you second guessed yourself?
Just did. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I drew a bird about to eat the butterfly.
That seemed a little too complicated to add. But yes, I mean, we could have just eaten one off.
I don't understand the square head for the butterfly. Butterflies don't have square heads.
Well, it's true. But it's really hard to describe that shape verbally. Right, so we right. So part of just doing this exercise and exercising our brains is also to be aware of what is more challenging when we're doing, when somebody may be giving us directions out loud. And so now this kind of tells you, Carol, right, like you need that person to either just do one at a time, or you need them to write it down for you, right? Because now you know that that is a place that you have challenge, right? So doesn't mean it's impossible, but it just helps kind of see where those areas are. Yeah. Yes, and part of it may have been my directions. I mean, you guys, most of you did this with Alex yesterday, so I don't know, maybe you guys did better with Alex?
No?
About the same?
About the same, probably.
Okay, alright. Because sometimes that makes a difference.
Bill?
Alright, so everyone out there as well, tomorrow we're going to keep doing the same exercise. So exercising our bodies, exercising our brains. So if you want to bring something to write with and something to write on, paper and pencil for tomorrow, and we will see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And of course we have stretching and mindfulness at 10 o'clock. So thank you so much for coming, and we will see you tomorrow.